Welcome to I May Be Wrong.
I don't know what this world is coming to,
but I don't think so. We're broadcasting from the greater Nashville area, the home of country music, beyond the borders of political correctness and identity politics. Facts and faith are our demarcations. Truth lights our path.
Here's the Barry White of Podcast Radio.
The Venerable Alfonso Ashworth.
Well, welcome to another exciting episode of I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so. Of course, I'm Alfonso Ashworth, and I welcome you to the program today. Of course, we got a lot of things happening here. We got a lot of excitement for you today. I have some very good news. I've got a great guest that's lined up for the show. He will be on in just a few seconds. Give me a minute to get started. Of course, there's a lot happening, and we want to keep you informed. People need to stop panicking over this virus. Of course, I'm not belittling that people are getting sick and that people are maybe getting sick enough to die. But, of course, let's put this all into context. There's a lot of things that are out there that are killing us today. There's a lot of other things that are happening today in our world that we need to be paying attention to. And this is why that I have Pastor Donovan Larkins. He's waiting in the queue. He's going to be my guest for this program. And I'm excited to have him today. Now, of course, if you would like to start a watch party, we recommend that you do that on your Facebook page. I see Pastor Carl Edis Mitchell III has chimed in. Bill Davenport, Paula McLanany is in the chat room. Thank you for joining us this morning. Please share this. This is going to be an important announcement that this pastor is bringing, that he's been working on. This pastor wears many hats. I love his maple syrup, by the way. He makes the maple syrup is the best in the world. Can't wait to order some more. He does a lot of things on his ranch called Shekinah Ranch. I've known him for a while through Lonnie Poindexter's program. We met through that program, and he is a fantastic individual that is doing a lot of things. And I'm not going to waste too much time. I want to bring this pastor on. Welcome to the show, Pastor Donovan Larkins.
Well, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Of course, you wear so many hats. And I was just bragging about your maple syrup and all the stuff that you do. And, of course, with Shekinah Ranch, this project that you're working on to bring to attention to what's happening with children, protecting innocence. Of course, you now have a new book that's out called Safeguarding Your Children in the Fortress of Accountability. I got this booklet. I've been looking through it. It is very easy to read. It's very comprehensive, and it's very important. It goes beyond just writing a book. This is something that every American and every person and every human should be concerned about, Pastor. Let's let the audience know, one, what is it that you do in your daily life, and how can they get in touch with you?
Well, first of all, I'm a pastor, but we run a 150-acre outdoor education program for youth, in addition to being involved in major food production. We believe that people need to eliminate the chemicals out of their life, and they'll have better health and feel better.
Right.
They can contact us. Of course, they can go on Facebook at Donovan Larkins, or they can call us at 937-889-0047, and we'd love to hear from people.
Okay. And, of course, like I said, you got your booklet that's come out, and you working on this, and I'll let the audience know, one, how can they help you to get a copy of this, because I think it should be in the hands of every parent for sure. And, of course, I want to give you some shout-outs. People are shouting out in the chat room. Don Wiggs said, great seeing you on this morning, Donovan Larkins. Carl Edis Mitchell III is giving you kudos. So we have people that's listening in. And, of course, if you don't get to hear this live, it will re-air on my website at I may be wrong, but I don't think so.com. And you can also find it on YouTube and all the major podcasts. Of course, Pastor Larkins, let's get right into this because we don't have, and I'm going to have you back. I hope to have you back more often. What is it that you want to let people know about what you're doing concerning protecting innocent children?
Well, first of all, I want people to know that sexual predators are out there, and they're a lot more serious than people think. They're after your children,
right?
And they have a very sophisticated system to get to undermine parental authority and to get to your children. But the good news is that we're putting together a survival package. This booklet series, it's a mini book series. This is part one of a 6-part series, and we want to tell people we want to give people the skill sets and the tools so that their children will be safe. Your children does not have to be a victim, but you're going to have to learn how these systems operate, and you're going to have to devise a plan, and you're going to have to stick to it, no matter if it becomes socially unacceptable. So, look, I grew up in a home around sexual predation, and the Bible says the righteous cry and the Lord hears and delivers them from all of their destruction. So God taught me at a very young age how to navigate through that hell, and I came out of it unvictimized. And it's those tools that I have in hand now at 62 years old that I want to impart to people who are very serious about, number one, raising their children with moral clarity, number two, to raise their children safe.
Yes. And that's priority number one in this society. And there's a lot of institutions that have contributed to undermining the parenting. And some of those we know about. Of course, we know about what's happened in the Boy Scouts. And I'm not pointing fingers at all the Boy Scouts because I do work with some of those organizations. But there's also other organizations. Would you like to mention a few that you know of and that you've worked to fight against that are re-educating our children? And would you inform our audience on some of those institutions?
Yeah, I'm working on part 2 of this series, and it's called No More Grooming. Okay, now what I'm about to say, I'm sure is going to get some reaction, some positive and some negative. But in this next booklet series, No More Grooming, I actually list some of the groomers that's out there. Hollywood is a major groomer.
Exactly.
They're putting shows on television to try to socially engineer people's thought life and their ideologies, and they keep putting in front of America, their whole concept is just to, through repetitiveness, continue to show pictures of men kissing men, women kissing women. And so in the long term, a social engineer or groomer will take a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it takes to begin to formulate ideologies that ordinarily would be unacceptable and make them acceptable. So Hollywood is one. Number 2, Disney. Right. Disney now has cartoons coming out to show our little kids boys kissing boys. Now this is totally unacceptable, but that's what groomers do. Number 3, I would say former President Obama is a huge groomer in that, the first president of our time that, made it openly same-sex relationships. And he would come to the American people and say, my daughters tell us that it's okay. Well, we don't elect a president for him to use his children for the normalization of sexual perversion.
Exactly.
So here's 3 groomers. And so then we have constantly, we see what happened with Olympic doctor, who victimized so many of the Olympic girls. And what's happening is very subtle, because when these pedophiles are indicted, they're giving them less and less, penalties. And so then we start seeing the normalization of this thing over a period of time. So America needs to fight back.
Well, and you just made a great point, because you said it's not just a matter of days and weeks. It becomes years. And, of course, we know some of the high-profile individuals like the actor Kevin Spacey. Of course, this recently with the Hollywood director, producer Harvey Weinstein. And those are very high-profile individuals. But you're talking about within families as well, that this is happening, and it's happening generationally. Could you expound on that in terms of what you're doing to try to protect the innocent children from inside the families?
Yeah, awareness is the road to prevention. So, it's, look, 70% of children that are molested by someone they know, a family member, a coach, even a pastor. And what I want to do is get this material into the hands of pastors, and they should buy these by the case and give them out to their people, because
Correct.
the more we teach people, the more their understanding and their insights are enlightened. They're making changes on how they're allowing people entry into their families' lives. And there's no excuse. We say this: there is no reason for any adult to have sexual contact with a child for any reason at any time. But let's take one instance, one example. Holiday celebrations, families get together. Your guard is let down. Those are times that predators seek to victimize. And I'm going to tell you something that's really shocking. Back in 1982, when I started the Protecting Innocence campaign, I had our local sheriff ask me to come to his office. Well, I've had my hand slapped before by the principal, and I thought, okay, what have I done?
Okay.
But what we did, we had a very meaningful discussion. And number one, he asked me, would I never put together a curriculum? And I thought that was strange coming from law enforcement. And I said, why? He said, because the sexual predators are so keen, they will take your curriculum and they will learn it, and they will use that to get into people's lives.
Wow.
But even then in 1982, he said they have such a problem with child predators. Now, this was third, fourth, and fifth graders. He said it's off the charts. He said, we don't think that we're going to even be able to ever stop it.
Wow. I mean, that's
children emulate what they're seeing around them, and they go and victimize other children.
And if you fast forward from when the time that you're talking about in the 80s to now in the 2000s, we have sat on the sideline for so long that it almost seems insurmountable in terms of overcoming this. But it's you and individuals that are out there that are talking to the politicians. You've been to the White House. You've talked to the local officials. You've talked to the state officials. You have been working very, very hard at this for quite some time, because I've known you just from my time, and this is something that you've been very passionate about. Again, tell my audience, how can they get their hand on a copy of your latest, and that way they can get the other series as they come?
Yeah, they really should just really call us.
Okay.
And, they'll give us their information, and that's at 937-889-0047. And, we want to get this into the hands of people. This is a very easy to read booklet. I mean, most people are sitting down reading it in 1 or 2 hours. We wanted an easy read so people can get into it. They can refer back to it over and over again, because it's a mind-renewing experience. And it's a pocket size, so they can carry it with them. They can give it to their friends and their family members. This is a true evangelistic outreach.
It is, and I really look at it as a ministry and within what you do overall that are helping young people. Briefly tell my audience about Shekinah Ranch. What is it that you're doing there that's helping at-risk youth and at-risk individuals? What are you doing at Shekinah Ranch?
Well, we call it parallel and illustrative learning, and we have at-risk young people, and we have families, parents bringing their children so that they don't become at risk. And so we use agriculture to parallel real life skills, and we're instilling into these young people moral clarity, the difference between right and wrong. And, we have it now where parents have to sign a moral clarity statement because we don't want them to think that we're going to teach same-sex relationships. And so we tell them we're not. Recently, we had our public school system come to us, and they wanted us to put together a proposal. I said, we are not going to teach a boy he's a girl, and we're not going to teach a girl that she's a boy.
Right.
So we are a faith organization. We believe in creation, and that's what we're teaching. And you know what? The demand for what we do is becoming higher and higher because we're on a road that is teaching our young people that anything goes and that Christianity is bad. So we want to welcome, in fact, right now we're putting together clubhouses and bunkhouses so people can bring their kids here and be here for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We've had many families bring children here that have already been victimized. And through the power of faith and through the power of prayer, we're seeing God bring healing to those families.
And that's something, like I said at the top of the show, that you wear many hats and that you're out teaching, training, educating, healing. You're doing all these things that if we could just inculcate that into all Americans, that we could come to a point to where we could stop the sex trafficking, to where we can prevent these problems in children's lives before they ever get started. Of course, as you said before, they can get in touch with you through your phone number, and we'll announce it again. I'll post it on my Facebook page as well, and other things that people can do themselves. One, get this book. That's the first thing you need to do is get a copy of this. And like the pastor said, it's very easy, very comprehensive, and anyone can understand it, and it'll give you some tips and some things, some warning signs to be looking for. Of course, let's talk about what's happening with politicians. And, of course, you've recently been to the White House. And I
was invited to the White House. I'm sure you got an invitation. It was Black History Week's month celebration and reception, and it was very well done. We really appreciate what the President of the United States is doing for this country, and we need to make sure we continue to pray for him and support him so that we can have another 4 years.
Yes. And recently we were discussing that he's appointed someone specifically in the White House, in his administration, that is going to be helping organizations. And I want you to explain that. The President of the United States, you was explaining that he has actually created a job that for someone that does exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a leadership position that he has appointed someone to head up the prevention against human trafficking.
Yes.
Now we're talking about two different things, but they all run together. And look, we can't give too much attention to this. I think it's been under the carpet for so long, and we've seen the social engineering from these groomers,
right.
And people have just adopted, well, there's nothing we can do about it. I don't believe that. I'm a fighter.
Yes.
And I know there's a whole lot of fighters that's hearing this. I want to give a shout out to Dawn Weeks. She's doing the editing for us, and she's doing a wonderful job at this. I mean, I'm very particular on who edits my materials because they end up changing the meaning of it. She's one of the best. But what I say, there are people that want to fight. There are people that want to give to support. This takes a lot of money. And they can contact us. They can even go onto our Protecting Innocence page on Facebook. It's the Protecting Innocence campaign. There's a lot of people doing things, but if they say the Protecting Innocence campaign or Protecting Innocence campaign, they're going to see that. But Donovan Larkins Facebook, or they can call us. We really would like to hear from them. And I really appreciate the insight that you've given me as far as who we want to do our publishing, how we want to do the distribution, because that helped tremendously out.
Well, I'm glad that I could help in any way that I possibly can. Of course, I'm just one little piece of the puzzle, and it takes so many people to make these things come about. And of course, like I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I just, I want to do this. When you get your next part of the project going, please, I want you to come back. And I want you to continue educating us about this, educating my audience. And as my audience grows, they are going to understand that there are other problems in this society that we are ignoring. The church has ignored it. Matter of fact, a lot of this is going on in our churches. I hate to say this, but Pastor, will you please explain to some of our Christian brothers and sisters out there and others as well, how bad is this inside of our church communities?
Well, if they get these booklets, they're going to learn real quick. I mean, they can look at the testimony of Donnie McClurkin,
yes,
and you can see it was church leaders that was molesting this man.
Wow.
And there's, through accountability, and accountability is not something that I came up with. Jesus sent them forward 2 by 2. And so through accountability, you can change your church. And I want to say to all the church folks, the church that you go to, pester your pastor.
Okay.
I call it pester your pastor. Find out what is in place to prevent predators from having entry into that church. Because if a sexual predator, a pedophile gains entry into the church, he or she is going to bring other pedophiles.
Yes.
And you got to watch out for your contractors. You got to just watch people, because it's not who they are, it's who they know.
Right.
And pedophiles have a phone directory where in major cities they actually trade information to help other pedophiles have greater access to other pedophiles.
Wow. So this thing is bigger, and it goes far beyond our normal way of thinking. And as you just said earlier in the broadcast, and if you didn't hear the entirety of this broadcast, please go back and listen on my page. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. I'm sure Pastor Larkins is going to have it on his Facebook page as well. As you were talking about some of the industries that have been groomers, like Disney, Hollywood, the industries that are associated with them through television programs and networks, all this educational programs that are disguised to look like they're educating your children, but they are grooming your children to be victims of this industry. That goes Go ahead, Pastor.
Anybody that has watched any of the Democratic debates, the Democratic Party is promoting pedophilia.
Yes. I know I have friends that are Democrats. They don't like me to say that. And if you look at Uncle Joe Biden, their main candidate, he has a fetish for touching little children. Go ahead, Pastor. Finish.
Look, when I supported Donald Trump in 2016, the Democratic Party came to our facility, and they specifically told me, we will not support anything you do anymore unless you soften towards same-sex marriage.
Wow.
Now, you mentioned the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts. There's a lot of these organizations that they started off just like Disney, started off, to entertain children, to help build character in young people.
Right.
But now we're in 2020, and things have changed. And our families need to change if they expect to keep their children safe from this type of victimization.
I couldn't agree more. And if I could do this show for 3 hours and have you on, I would do it. And we could talk about this for quite some time in many, many avenues. And as you just brought out, some of the organizations that are under attack, not specifically because they intended it to be this way, but as you just said, they have been infiltrated by these organizations like the Catholic Church, like the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. All these organizations that started out for good have been undermined. And Pastor, of course, I want to give you the last thoughts on this. One, tell everyone again how they can get in touch with you. What's the best way to buy the book, and how can they have you if they want to come and speak to their organizations?
Yeah, and we're ready to go speak, but they can call us at 937-889-0047. Call us. Or they can contact you if they don't remember the number, or they can contact us over Facebook.
Yes. Okay, Pastor, of course, we're getting ready to come up on the last part of the program, and I personally want to thank you for taking your time to come on. I may be wrong, but I don't think so, and just allowing us to be used in your ministry. Just as little as this may be, it may mean a lot to someone out there that may be listening in or may hear this at a later time. But thank you, brother, for taking your time to come on and talk to us today.
Thanks for having me, okay? And I'll come back anytime. It's about helping people.
Okay, God bless you.
Bless you.
Of course, that was Pastor Donovan Larkins. Of course, he does a great ministry. I really encourage others to be a part of what he's doing with his innocence, with protecting innocence. We have a lot of work to do, folks. We have a lot of work ahead of us. This virus is going to pass. No matter what the media says, no matter what the stock market does, God is still on the throne. And he is the one that has rule and authority over all on this earth. And that includes the president, that includes the Congress, that includes the governments around the world. They are under God's authority, and his will shall be done no matter what is happening. I see that Mr. Akita Dukes Mosby has joined us. Don't forget, Akita, to go back and revisit this show. It's a great show. I see that Pete Kara Hutchins is in the chat room, and others have joined. Make sure that y'all share this program. Please share this program with others. It's not, look, this is not about promoting the president. It's not about promoting the shows. Somehow, some way, this technology is going to be used for good, not just for bad. And I want to thank everyone that has joined us today. I see Bill Davenport has joined us again today. Kathy Burnett has been a part of the chat room today, and many, many others that are going to listen to this program. And we really appreciate your support. If you want to support us, you can go to my website. I may be wrong, but I don't think so.com. And there's ways for you to support the program there. And Jay McCaney, thank you, sir. Your show is great. I enjoy you on Facebook and on your programs as well. And thank you for joining us today and chiming in. And we're going to continue to do this. Look, nothing can stop the American people. You know, some people have just give up. Some have just give up. We can't win. We're done. We're doomed. Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Some people are that way. But most of us are going to fight, and we're going to continue to fight no matter what the media says, no matter about what Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid or anybody else is doing, no matter what President Trump is doing. President Trump is just one person. He's just like us. But God has given him a mission, I believe. And I think that's something we should all be aware of. Of course, I want to thank you today for chiming in. I want to tell you, as always, God bless you, God bless America, and peace.
You've been listening to Alfonso Ashworth, the Barry White of Podcast Radio. Go forth and share his message. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. Remember, no two people can ever occupy the same place at the same time. You were uniquely and wonderfully made. Born an original. Don't die a copy. God bless. Peace.